So how's everybody doing? It's Hank and Ricky back with another Here's the Thing at the end of the day on this beautiful Saturday evening/afternoon. So Ricky, what are we talking about on this specific episode?
So on this episode, this is more or less it's going to be our special since it's Cowboys-Eagles week and it's a huge one. But before we get into that, we're going to talk about Mariota and Jameis Winston. Basically, how they've been performing over the past couple seasons. Are they like how,
And
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then just basically go over both of them, where we think people thought they were going to be, and then where we think they are, and where we think they might be headed. Then we're going to talk about Skip Baseless and how a bandwagon of a Cowboys fan, but just talk about him in general and how all he is just all talk. And then we'll finally get into Cowboys versus Eagles talk, and then we'll get into our fantasy must starts and must sits. So
that sounds good. That sounds good.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to find the Pac-12 network. But anyway, so let's first of all discuss Jameis Winston, or who I often call Jameis. Just because Josh, DJ, and I, we have a friend named Ashton, and last year he was fairly new to fantasy football, so he kept referring to Jameis Winston as Jameis. I thought that's what we do. We just call him Jameis just because we kind of feel like it. Yeah, he's been injured for most of the season. And not only that, he's also been, how do you say it? He's accused by Uber of groping an Uber driver.
That's no good.
He's currently banned from Uber, and of course, that kind of behavior gives Kelly the chance to say she's a complete scumbag. You can go into that pregame talk that he had with the Buccaneers against the Saints, where he licked his fingers and said, we're gonna eat the win, or something like that, and you've got the Sean Jackson in the background, like, come on, man. Not even I'm dumb enough to do something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously we're gonna go into this mostly when we're discussing Marcus Mariota as well. But a lot of people expected Jameis to be the next guy. You know, a lot of people expected him to be the next Donovan McNabb, but that's a lot of what Dak Prescott is, like a taller, like a 6'4".
I think Dak's more comparable to McNabb as opposed to Winston.
And Winston had, I don't have his numbers right in front of me, but he had a pretty good season last year, and
I got it right here.
15 as well.
Yeah. In 2016, he went. So far, it's his career high in both interceptions and touchdowns, with 28 touchdowns and 18 interceptions, with a passer rating of 86.1.
28 touchdowns. 28 touchdowns, interceptions.
28 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, with 4,000 passing yards.
Man, that's not bad. That's not bad for a second-year player.
It really isn't. I mean, if you see, this is the thing. Right now, and just for his numbers on the season right now, he's thrown 10 touchdowns and 6 picks. Granted, we don't know how well, but I'm assuming he's not going to reach those numbers like he has been before. He has almost over 2,000 yards passing on the season so far, so I mean, it's to be determined how he finishes. I mean, he's doing much better than Marcus Mariota this season.
But of course, Winston's out for an extended period of time because
that is true. And I'll be right back. Hold up the fort.
He has rotator cuff issues, and the way I see it, I don't think he's going to come back from those rotator cuff issues this season because it's torn and he's going to need surgery. And if you're standing here thinking Jameis Winston is your franchise quarterback, which that's okay to think, like if that's the way the Tampa Bay Buccaneers things, then that's a guy you kind of need to put on ice because you've got a situation in Indianapolis with Andrew Luck in terms of the Colts kind of rushed him to come back 2 times, and now that could have caused irreparable damage to Andrew Luck's I think it's his throwing shoulder. This is something that you just got to sit here and just say to yourself, maybe we need to put Jameis Winston or Jameis on ice for the rest of the season and just start Ryan Fitzpatrick, because if you need a player, I mean, if Dirk Cutter is looking at this in the situation where he's like, if I need Jameis Winston on the field in order to save my job, then A, he's probably causing future damage to Jameis Winston's shoulder, and in years from now, he's probably going to end up having to start a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick or Ryan Fitzpitrick, whichever one you're going to call it, or somebody else in the future. So, it's and then that could cost you your job further on down the road. So if I'm Dirk Cutter, I'm sticking with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I know he's not the best quarterback. I know that he struggled last year, but right now he's your hot hand. He's done fairly well in his short time starting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I would see what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could have in him, because you don't want to end up picking for quarterbacks again. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, who if he was drafted in 2005, he's over 36. He's probably around 36 years old. So, I don't think Ryan Fitz. I think people have proven. I think the Jets. I think the Bills have proven that you don't want to build your team off of a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, he's a guy who could possibly give you 9 or 10 wins, but is he really the kind of guy who's going to get you any more than that, or going deep into the playoffs? I mean, I think the best team that he proved he could beat was the Patriots. I think he beat them twice with 2 different teams, being with the Buffalo Bills and being with the New York Jets. Not sure where Ricky is right now, but just trying to hold down the fort for him, just kind of watching some, college football highlights. Waffles is looking out the window. He's guarding the tower. I guess I'll use this Cattle Dog. The Cattle Dog said the rebirth of Gabbert starts Sunday. I'll believe it when I see it. Really. Who do they play again? They play the who do they play? Who do the Cardinals play? Play the, if you can help me out, that'd be good. The Texans. So they play the Texans. They play them in Arizona or Houston, because to me that's a big difference between Arizona and Houston. I think that's it. They're playing in Houston, so I think that's the kind of game where it's going to be close either way. I think I picked the Texans just because they were at home. In any other situation, I'd probably have more confidence in the Cardinals, but that's a game that could really go either way. I know the Texans have Thomas Savage playing for them. You back, Ricky?
Yep. Sorry about that. I had to help Thanksgiving preparation.
I went on a tangent about the Arizona Cardinals. Catalog said that Blaine Gabbert would be a rebirth of Blaine Gabbert. I'm just watching clips of Baker Mayfield. The Oklahoma Sooners are playing the University of Kansas, and Baker Mayfield he was the captain for the coin toss, and there were two young Kansas fans who were captains for the coin toss for the University of Kansas, and they refused to shake his hand. So I thought that was kind of funny. So any final thoughts on Jameis Winston and what the Buccaneers should do with him?
I don't want to say that he's a bust because I think that's the improper term to use. But I'm going to just say this, that as of right now, he's trending. I don't want to say he's trending downward per se, like, because he has a ton of character issues which are causing a bit of problems. And this is not like a singular issue that just popped up. No, he's had a track record of having issues. I mean, like, if you go on Wikipedia, I know Wikipedia. Like in 2012, a BB gun complaint. There was a sexual assault allegation in 2013, and that went on for a long time. The shoplifting incidents, vulgar comments,
bad pregame speeches.
Yeah, exactly. And then the whole groping allegation with the Uber driver.
I'm waiting to hear more facts about.
Yeah. Don't think I'm not 100%.
Winston came out and said that they were wrong. The report was wrong about how many people were in the vehicle, and he also said that. Well, he didn't say this, but it's not very difficult to get banned from Uber. You could just say F you or you're a shithead, and you could get banned from. I mean, they could get triggered.
No, but anywho, just to wrap up, I think Jameis Winston is still 23. He's gonna be 24 next year. So that I think time is on his as well as Mariota's side, which we'll get into in a moment. Even though Mariota is older than him technically, actually he is. But yeah, I mean, he still has a ton of time to correct the ship. So I would say give it until his rookie year contract expires before we start. Saying, oh, he's a bust or whatever.
That's next year or the year after that.
Yeah. Anyhow.
But before we get into Mariota, I actually, in our two birds and a third league, I actually drafted Jameis Winston. I think right now my fantasy quarterback in that league is who's the quarterback for the Vikings?
It's Teddy Bridgewater, but I mean, you got Case Keenum as well.
I even forgot his name. That's how, semi-irrelevant his name is to me. But, I know who he is. Case Keenum. So I've dropped Jameis Winston for Case Keenum. But let's get to Mariota.
Yeah. He had a horrible night. Holy crap.
But I think that's one of those things that you look at, you kind of crumple up and throw away.
Yeah, let me just go ahead and give you his stats on the current season. Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so he currently has thrown 2,089 yards for 8 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So he has a pass rating of 79.9. But
rushing touchdowns, though, right?
I'm not counting rushing touchdowns at all. I'm kind of excluding those.
Well, for him, when it comes to fantasy's sake, he was my quarterback in my other league. But yeah, he's had a very lackluster season. All in all, what were his stats last year?
Mariota?
Yeah, Mariota.
Actually, he did very well. I mean, 26 touchdowns, 9 picks, 2 rushing touchdowns for 3,426 passing yards. I mean, he had a pretty good year.
That's a monstrous season for a guy who's first quarterback. I don't know really what his issue. I think it's an issue the offensive line is of the Tennessee Titans is a unit that everybody hypes up, but really DeMarco Murray is their star player basically. Derrick Henry hasn't done much of anything since that long rush for a touchdown he had against Indianapolis on Thursday Night Football a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just haven't seen much from him. I obviously expected a lot from him as I made him I drafted him as my fantasy quarterback in our OG league, but like I don't know. He's I guess I haven't seen a lot from him, but he's really just been he's kind of been a pedestrian quarterback, and there's not really anything wrong with that, but as a former Heisman Trophy winner, you kind of expect more, you know?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, what were the other like? I mean, look, my thing with Mariota, like, how old is he?
He's like 24.
He just turned 24. Yeah, he just turned 24. So, I will say this: I think Marcus Mariota, excuse me, I think Marcus Mariota, he's a solid QB. I think he's just having one of those years. I mean, I think if you like remove the 4 interception game, he has 8 picks, and I mean, this year has been very mediocre for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like,
I'd say less than mediocre, because like a mediocre quarterback right now is a guy who probably has like 13 to 15 touchdowns and 5 to 7. 8.
Yeah, like a Dak Prescott, for example. I mean, he's doing solid.
Say that Dak Prescott is mediocre. I would say he's doing very well.
Well, no. I'm saying, like, as for someone that of his hype, I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. What I meant was that, like, if you look at a Dak Prescott, he is living up to the hype that he has created. I mean, sure, the record might not show it, but I mean, he's doing what he's been doing. Stable quarterback play, 16 touchdowns, 4 picks, and I think 4 rushing touchdowns. I could be wrong on the rushing touchdown count.
Did in that game against the Falcons, did he throw an interception?
No, he fumbled the ball, I think, once.
They're showing a clip of him throwing an interception in that game. Was that called back?
Yeah, it was a free play when he threw it. I remember that. Okay. But anyhow, so my whole point is that when it comes to Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston, they are clearly being they're clearly being overshadowed by the new quarterbacks in Dak Prescott, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff all of a sudden, coming out of nowhere. Listen, I'm not saying, and keep in mind that like these Marcus Mariota and Jameis Winston were like 21, 22 when they came into the league. So I mean, like, they're the same age and younger than a Carson Wentz. I think Dak is about the same age as both of them. But the point,
Dak 23?
No, it's 24.
Oh, okay.
But the point being is that, listen, I think that when you look at Marcus Mariota himself, I think he's having one of those down years. I mean, there's still a ton of time for him to correct course. I mean, like, both,
Yeah, for both of them.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have a down year. You're allowed to have a down season. And, if you have a bad year and you were drafted early, you should. I mean, if you have 2 back-to-back really bad seasons, if you're like Blake Bortles, then you're considered a bust.
Yeah, obviously.
Because Blake Bortles is like a 1 touchdown throw a game, and he'll probably
touchdown throw a season.
Last throws during the game. They're gonna win because of their defense. They're not gonna win because of Blake Bortles.
Oh yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about on the Mariota front? I mean, I don't expect Mariota to have another bad game like that. That was just like
that's like a I don't want to say once in a career, but like once in a
while.
Yeah.
Every quarterback has thrown like 3-4 interceptions in a game.
Well, except for Dak. I mean, I'm just messing. Anyway,
the most he's thrown in a game is 2, right?
2. Yeah. I mean, that's for his whole career, but anyhow. Okay, so I want to move on. Let's start shifting gears towards we're not going to get directly into Eagles versus Cowboys yet. We will get to that towards the end after we hit this little speed bump. We're just talk about Mr. Skip Baseless, as I like to call him, and how he kind of just taints the Dallas Cowboys fan base.
He's not even a Cowboys fan.
I know he's not. He's not.
you ever seen the tweet where he was like, I think it was like that was before 2009. He was like, he was like, not a Cowboys fan. He said, not a Cowboys fan. I don't have it in front of me, but I'm just quoting him. He said, not a Cowboys fan, but I really like how they're gonna play this year. Against them, but I really like the unit. And then the next season, he was like, my Cowboys. And then Dez called him out on it. He was like, you're not a real Cowboys fan. You literally said you are not a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, and then he coddles like the Patriots. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so the now the Cowboys are missing Ezekiel Elliott because of suspension. Now that they're missing Sean Lee and might or might not be missing Tyron Smith, which we don't really know which one, if Tyron Smith is playing or but we'll get into that if that's a Jerry Jones kind of trick. But he comes out now, he's like, oh, the Patriots are going to be amazing. And
he is like the living embodiment of a bandwagoner. Like, and listen, I understand he does it for entertainment, but like, this is the problem. He wants to give up on the season. I have not given up on the season, and I said this like 2 hours ago. I was like, was it 2 hours? Yeah, like 2 hours ago. I said, look, if you're a true fan, you're sitting here regardless if you win or lose. But if you end up giving up and then you come back and say like, oh yeah, let's go, like when your team makes the playoff, regardless of what team you are, dude, get out of here. Like, like I just hate.
Of course, a few weeks ago he posted it many times. The Cowboys are gonna win the NFC East after the Dallas Cowboys were able to defeat the what was it? The 49ers, the Redskins, and then the Chiefs. He's like, the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East, and then they lose to the Atlanta Falcons, and he's like, oh, we suck.
I just think it's funny. I mean, it's funny doing reverse psychology to a T. I think it's hilarious, but at the end of the day, I just don't like it. But I don't want to, I can only go on this for so long. I was going to
talk about Skip Bayless all I want. I love the pictures that people post of Shannon Sharpe being like, Skip! The thing is, I don't watch the show. I think it's a pointless show. I mean, all they do is talk about the Dallas. All they do, that show is basically the Dallas Cowboys, LeBron, and Lonzo Ball. That's all
exactly.
They
and that's like ESPN First Take too, but that's a whole nother thing. So I cannot. Okay, I think we got enough for all that. We had to just hit the little speed bump. Let's get into it. Cowboys take on the Eagles in Big D. It's gonna be a showdown for the ages. It's at 8:30 Sunday Night Football.
It's gonna be a household united at my house.
Oh, great. By the way, in case you're wondering, they will have the dome, the roof open, so that's gonna be fun.
Hopefully.
Wait, what did you say?
That hopefully it rains.
Don't worry, the big screen's gonna cover it. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so looking at this game, me personally, I think that if any Eagles fan is out there saying, and I'm not saying you specifically, Hank, because I know you've talked about this. If you're out there saying you're going to demolish the Dallas Cowboys, get out of here, because like this is a division rivalry game.
Yeah.
Like, remember in 2013 when Romo was out and at the last game of the season to go to the playoffs, a lot of people thought that Dallas was just going to get run over. It was going to be an easy victory for the Eagles. Well, it ended up being literally a 2-point game, but it took until the last drive of the game for the Eagles to seal it. So clearly, this game is going to be a lot closer than people think.
I agree. There is no point in time where I ever take any of these division games for granted. They might not have Zeke. They might not have Sean Lee. I don't know if they're going to have Tyron Smith or not. I personally think that this is a trick by Jerry Jones. I don't know why. You would think that if he was trying to, trick the Eagles to thinking that Tyron Smith wouldn't play and then put him in the game, you would expect him to be doubtful instead of questionable, just to make them think, oh yeah, he's not going to play, so let's not game plan for him. But I think it's going to be a one possession game. I think it's going to be an overtime game.
It could be another one. I mean, see, and I don't want to just do pure biased hate on Carson Wentz and the Eagles, but in all seriousness, though, if any Eagles fan is trying to use that Week 17 game where the Cowboys literally sat all their starters as ammunition for an argument, be like, oh, well, Dak is 1-1 against Carson Wentz. It's like, actually, I would argue he's 1-0 because the last game of the season didn't even matter.
If any Eagles fan is using that, then you're dumb.
Yeah, you're seriously retarded. Like,
it's last season has nothing to do with this season.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, the point being, like, if you're using, like, even if you're using that as the argument from last season to say that Carson Wentz is quote unquote better, oh, so you're telling me it took Carson Wentz to like the third quarter go up again? Never mind, I'm just rambling. But anywho, look, both these quarterbacks, Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott, are fantastic. I think what gives the Cowboys a sense of an advantage is Dak Prescott is not a gunslinger. And I've told you, Hank, multiple times, is that having a gunslinger is both a curse and a blessing in the same. Right now, it's a blessing because Carson Wentz is just throwing bombs left and right. But eventually, that stuff will catch up to you. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not saying it's going to happen this week. Yeah. But when you look at what the Cowboys secondary in terms of not the linebackers, because obviously Sean Lee's out, except for Jeff Heath, but we disregard him. You're looking at a fully healthy rookie class going into this game in terms of Chidobe Awuzie. He's going to be playing. Xavier Woods, who's been probably the best rookie, arguably, with Jordan Lewis. I mean, the Cowboys, their DBs are looking pretty nice.
Uh-huh.
I mean, what do you think?
No, I agree. I wanted Chidobe. I wanted the Eagles to draft him. That was a big thing in my mind. Before they drafted Sidney Jones, I thought they were going to draft him, but obviously Sidney's name came out of their mouth and not Chidobe. So I definitely like their defensive backfield. I really think the key for the Eagles is the running game. Really, if they can get it done on in the run. I know that when the Cowboys haven't had Sean Lee, they've allowed about 27 points a game, and with him they've allowed like 18. So that's what I'm really looking at, establishing the run. I also know that the Eagles will not be having obviously Jason Peters, so it's going to be Big V, Vaitai, and he'll be the left tackle. And obviously I think that we all know that Tyron Smith might miss the game, but I think the running game will definitely help the Eagles out if they win and make them respect the running game so that the play action pass game ends up working.
Yeah, here's my problem, right? I think that I think that obviously the trade for Jay Ajayi was a steal. I'm not arguing that, but the problem I have is the commitment to a running back. Like, you have LeGarrette Blount, so a lot of people are like, oh, let's just use LeGarrette Blount, and then you're like, oh, well, let's actually get Jay Ajayi. It's like, this is the problem I have. If you're the Eagles, you have to commit to one back if you want to establish the running game. Like, I mean, like, I know the Cowboys, I understand that they have to do a running back by committee, but they have their running back provided he's not on suspension.
Yeah.
But with you guys, it's like, me personally, I'm like, look, if you look at LeGarrette Blount and Jay Ajayi, granted Jay Ajayi's been with the Eagles not that long, but they have 4 combined rushing touchdowns throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
So if I'm the Eagles, you have to make a decision on what you're going to do at running back. Because I think that I don't know why the Eagles continue to just keep trading and signing players, because I think that's going to bite them in the rear end if they keep doing that. But
I see it more as like them having fresh legs, and they've been doing it all season. and it's been working.
Well, I mean,
You
I understand that, but like, draft picks are pretty crucial. So I mean, like,
as a team, the Eagles have. I think they've got like the most rushing yards in the NFL. They like lead the league or something like that.
Really? All right, let's see.
I don't think they lead, but they might be top 5, but they end up with the rushing yards in every game.
Let's see. What's going on?
They had over 200 rushing yards against Denver.
Let me see. Team offense. Well, according to this, let's see. If I do rushing, which it doesn't. Well, according to ESPN, I know it's ESPN, but like according to like the numbers in regard to like passing and rushing, like basically total offense, the Eagles are 2.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are 8.
Yeah.
And then if we go over to team defense, let me head over to what would you say score? Trying to look. It's only offense. I freaking hate the setup here.
It's okay.
Defense. There we go.
The way I see it, though, I think either way it's going to go into overtime. I think the key for both teams are trying to not make those mistakes that are really going to cost you the game. Like making mistakes in the red zone is going to kill you as a team. Making mistakes deep in your side of the field is gonna lead to you having a bad game.
Yes. So I mean, in regards to team defense itself, the Eagles, who are they? They're 9th, and the Cowboys are 16th. So clearly, I mean, both these teams are really good. I mean, like granted, the Eagles are having statistically and of course, on the scale a better season because they're 8-1 and they have these 2. But keep in mind, at this point, stats you could just throw it out the window. It is a division rivalry game.
I don't care about stats when it comes to. I don't care about stats. I don't care about standings when it comes to division games. You can throw that all out the window. I do not care.
Yeah.
To me, it's the team that's hungrier at the end. It's the team that's better at the end, and I'm hoping that it's my team, and hopefully, I'm hoping that it's just a good all-around game. I hope that the officiating is good. I'm hoping that.
Oh my God! Please.
What's that statistic where the Cowboys they haven't called a single in-play penalty or during the play penalty against their
Cowboys opponents? Yeah.
True. They haven't called
holding. I think it's like offensive. They haven't called that in like almost like 6 games or something like that. It's ridiculous. But I don't remember the exact stat though. So
that sounds bogus.
Yeah, I know, but like I don't know the exact stats, so take what I said with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
So let me just okay, what I want to bring up is something very important even after this game, because I know we're gonna I don't know if we'll get to it, but even if the Eagles win this game, they're probably gonna, I don't know how much more wins they have to get before they clinch a playoff spot. I mean, obviously, if you win this game,
I think it will have, because after this game, I think there's 6 games left. I think they'll have to win. If they win, they'll be 9-1, and then
they would have to win at least 2 more.
Maybe 4 games above the Cowboys. So I think they'd have to win 3 more.
Yeah, to clinch it. But here's
they'll have to be 12-4 or have 12-1 to clinch a playoff spot.
Yeah, I will say this. The Eagles, and look, I'm not trying to discredit anything the Eagles are doing. Obviously, they're 8-1 for a reason. But normally, and I've mentioned this, but more specifically, it's normally after Thanksgiving where you start seeing teams emerge and teams dissipate. Yeah. Like, for example, like you could have a team that's like the Jaguars. I believe they're sitting at 6-3. You don't know if they probably might collapse and go 9-7. You don't know. I mean, or you might have a team like the Titans who had that debacle and they end up go.
9-7 will still probably be enough to go to the playoffs.
To be honest, yeah, but like,
but I mean, yeah. But the only other issue is the fact that the Eagles still play the Bears at home. They play the Giants, who are a failing team. Who that could be a trap game. They play the Raiders at home.
yeah.
I still think there's a chance that the Eagles could still get 12 wins. You know?
Oh no, yeah. I think that they can. I just think that the toughest road stretch, that 3-game road stretch where they go to Seattle, 2 Los Angeles, the Rams, and then 2 New York. That's going to be the test.
Yeah.
To see like are the Eagles? And let me tell you something. I don't trust the Eagles going into the playoff. Like, listen, I'm not trying to be a pure hater, but in all seriousness, like even if the Eagles win the division and get that bye week, regardless of that, you got to keep in mind that I would rather be like the Packers. Like, I'd rather be sitting like at a 5-4, 4-5 record, get hot, go like 10-6 or 9-7, make the playoffs and go like far than like last year.
The issue is you don't know how the Seahawks are going to do. You're not sure how the Rams are.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I would rather not have to go to Seattle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you want to try and get home. If you get home field advantage.
I would rather play a game against the Seattle Seahawks in Philly. I would not want to go to Seattle. I wouldn't really even want to go to Minnesota either. I wouldn't want to go to New Orleans either. So I think as of right now, it's safer if the Eagles can wrap up that number 1 seed, then that would be safer for them.
Yeah, I mean, but if I'm the Eagles, listen, and again, I'm not trying to be the homer here, but in all seriousness, you do not want to face the Cowboys with Zeke Elliott in the playoffs.
That's why 17, I would love to just play the Cowboys mano-a-mano, sitting nobody. If the Cowboys advance, I don't want them to be anywhere close to a playoff spot.
Yeah, because you know what happens if the Cowboys get into the playoffs. Watch out, because I feel like, listen, and again, I know I'm a Cowboys fan, but in all seriousness, you're gonna have a really ticked off Ezekiel Elliott, who's coming back for those last 2 games, and who knows? I mean, Seattle might end up falling off, and they end up giving that playoff spot to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, that, and I hate to get very far into the future, because obviously there's a ton of football left. Yeah. For all we know, the Cowboys could end up go on some ridiculous win streak to win the NFC. I'm not, anything's possible. But getting back to this game, I hate to ramble on, because I know we got to get to our fantasy. Hold on, let me see how long we've been going, just so I can. Okay, we're good. We're good. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we're not going on too long, but running around in circles. But anywho, going back to this game, clearly, I would say that the Eagles cannot get complacent in this game.
No,
you clearly are not going to face the same team that went onto the field against Atlanta and the Cowboys.
You got to execute against that team.
I would argue that this is probably a must-win for Philly, mainly because if you win this game, you go up 4-0 in the division. I believe, But if you lose this game to Dallas, you gotta be. I don't want to put some insurmountable pressure on the Eagles, but in all seriousness, though, if the Cowboys win this game, you give them life, pretty much. And you're sitting at 8-2. They're sitting at 6-4. So they're about 2 games behind, maybe a game and a half behind because of the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So you are starting to tread on a bit of water, considering you're facing them at the end of the season. So you cannot be in a situation where it's a win and we win the division. Because I think that if you're looking at it, right, and I hate to get into the hypotheticals, but these are legitimate arguments. If say hypothetically, the Eagles are sitting at 11-4, Cowboys are sitting at 11-4, and the Cowboys had already beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
If you're the Eagles, you do not, even if it's in Philly, I understand that it's a bit easier because it's home field. You do not want to face the Cowboys with Zeke Elliott, especially when they're in a position to win the NFC East or get a playoff spot. Because And even if it's a meaningless game for the Eagles, right? Even if they clinch the division and the Cowboys are fighting for a playoff spot, if you're the Eagles, you have to kill off the Cowboys, because if you face them again in the playoffs, you do not want that to happen. So that's my whole spiel.
I agree. No, I completely agree with you. I think the big thing is the Eagles not taking the Cowboys for granted and not taking the Cowboys as a team that you're definitely going to beat, because it's not true. You still got to play against them.
Yeah, I mean,
they'll play your, and they'll come back at you and they'll pummel you. And I feel that I don't want that to happen. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not Sunday night, but Monday night. I mean, the Cowboys sitting at 6-1. I know the Eagles had lost that day. And I was like, okay, so if we win this game, we're pretty much putting ourselves in a favorable position in the NFC East and the NFC. And like me personally, I thought we were gonna walk over Washington. I thought Washington was that atrocious, but division rivalry, you end up losing in overtime. I mean, and I was like, whoa.
In 2014.
Yeah, I was in 2014, and then we ended up skidding for a bit. We ended up falling to 6-3, but luckily we caught ourselves and managed to go on a 12-4 record.
Again, the biggest fear is this bye, because
that is the biggest question that I have for the Eagles. Like, will the bye hurt them?
I really think the Eagles are going to come off this game really slow.
Yeah, and I will. And if the Cowboys are, I hate to keep interrupting you, but like, no, but like, if the Eagles end up going down like 14-3 or 20, heck, if it's like 20, like at halftime, if it's like the score's like 17-3, oh, I'll be. I don't want to hit the panic button per se, but like, I'm starting to like notice something. I'm like, maybe the Eagles are maybe the bye week, because historically I think the Eagles, like, after the bye week, haven't been that great. I mean, neither have we. But like this,
under Andy Reid, the Eagles were very good at the bye, and then after he left, I don't think they've won at the bye since. But they haven't been this good since. You know what I'm saying?
That is true. So I mean, like, and a lot of questions will be answered after this game. I mean, and we're not talking about Dak versus Wentz. We're more or less talking about both the teams. I mean, like, can Phil, like, and this is something, before I can give Carson Wentz full recognition, because I kind of recognize him, but he has to finish. You're maybe sitting at 8-1, but if you could finish off the season 13-3, 12-4, I'm cool with that. I mean, you're and you have to at least win a playoff game. I mean, well, I don't want to like sound biased, because I know Dak Prescott's technically 0-1 in the playoffs, but like, the point being is that Carson Wentz has to finish off the season strong, because even though we started off 11-1, I knew that there were signs of trouble last season when we kind of slowed up, and especially how long we rested players. And that is something you better hope that the Eagles do not rest players, even if they clinch the East and everything.
Yeah.
Because that's horrible.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got how about them Cowboys in the comment section. How you doing? How does Hank feel about the Eagles? Well, how do you feel, Hank? I mean, I'm pretty sure you talked about that.
If Tyron plays, then I think it's a loss. If he doesn't play, I think it's a win.
Yeah. I mean, I did the whole reverse psychology crap. I was like,
before the season even started, I picked the Cowboys because I thought that record-wise they were going to be better. But I think that the Eagles are going to win if Tyron isn't there. I think they showed a statistic that said that without Tyron in the lineup, the Cowboys, like, per play, it's like 2.5 yards per play.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, and with him, it's like 6.5 yards per play. So
yeah,
like a huge difference. That just shows how important he is to your squad. But I don't know. I don't think that that'll have anything to do with this game. It's not like you're playing the Falcons where you're not division opponents and you don't play each other every year. And the Cowboys always seem to get up to play the Eagles. So yeah, I think it'll definitely be an interesting matchup.
So he asks, if the Cowboys were to beat the Eagles, is this the biggest upset of the year? Well, I would say as of right now, maybe yes, but I mean, there's.
I think the biggest upset of the year was the Chiefs going into New England and beating them week 1.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That
I
was
mean, but yeah, I would. But I guess it depends on how this game goes.
or the Redskins and their practice squad offensive line beating Seattle Seahawks in Seattle.
That's another one. Yeah. So, if the okay, I'm gonna put it this way: if the Cowboys win, it's gonna be a close win. If the Eagles win, it's probably gonna be a close win or somewhat of a blowout.
Mhm.
How about them Cowboys thinks that the score is gonna be 89-9 Eagles? Holy crap!
28. You're reading that wrong. 28-9.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to die here.
Go into fantasy.
Okay, so give me one moment so that I could pull up my handy dandy.
I'll give my starts and sits. I'd say right now you should start. Start Kirk Cousins against the New Orleans.
Took it.
I have the Redskins winning this game. Historically, the Redskins play very well against the Saints, so I have Kirk Cousins.
Okay. In terms of my quarterback play, I personally, and again, not saying this because I'm a fan, I'm saying Dak Prescott's a must start. Yes, I understand that the Philly defense is a bit stingy, but I think that considering the fact that the Cowboys are relying more on him, expect him to put up some good numbers. I mean, yeah, Cole Beasley and all that other weapons. I think that could definitely play a role. So my must start is Dak Prescott.
My must start was also Ben Roethlisberger, but that game already went on.
But yeah, which was a good.
My must sit is Matthew Stafford. He's in Chicago playing against the Bears.
Yep.
The last time he went into Chicago, they did not do so well, and neither did he.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that was my must. I mean, my personal must sit would have been Mariota, but again, that game happened, so I'm going with you.
I already sat him, so I'm just kidding. Yeah. So who's your must sit?
In terms of wait, for quarterback or receiver?
For quarterback.
I said it's same as you. I was gonna say Matthew Stafford, but yeah.
Yeah. So wide receiver, I would say must start wide receiver Tyreek Hill.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah,
Right.
I would agree with that. My personal must start is Davante Adams. I think him and Brett Hundley are the new Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson combination. I think that he is a solid. I think what's crazy is that a lot of teams are starting to cover Jordy Nelson. So I mean, like Brett Hundley's been going to Davante Adams, and thanks to Davante Adams, who's on my For Money fantasy team, he clinched me a playoff spot. So, yeah. Now we're fighting for that bye week. Now, as for my must sit, Marvin Jones Jr. I understand that Marvin Jones Jr. has had 2 sensational games. He is also another reason why I clinched my playoff spot. But at the end of the day, I think that if Matthew Stafford has a bad day, he's going to have a bad day. I know he tends to be the go-to target. He's been hot, but yeah.
My must sit is continues to be Demaryius Thomas. He just has not played well this season.
He's well, it's not his fault. It's because of the quarterback. So who is your must start at wide receiver? Tyreek Hill. Yeah, sorry.
Must start at running back.
I
feel like he might have a good game against the Seahawks. Because Devontae Freeman is out with a concussion.
Who is he?
Yeah, against you guys.
Well, no. What's his name? Coleman.
Kevin Coleman.
Oh crap! Somebody already picked him up. I was trying to pick him up in my fantasy No, but and anywho,
What?
my my personal must start is Jerick McKinnon. Um, him going up against that Los Angeles Rams defense. I understand that the Rams have a pretty good defense, but I mean, like, I think that he's going to be the more featured back. And considering they might stack the box, I mean, I think Jerick McKinnon is more of a better balanced back in a sense. I know that he got out touched by Latavius Murray, but that was because Latavius Murray had the hot hand. So, as for my must sit, I would say my must sit is Alfred Morris, and I know you might be like, well, what do you mean? He's just backup. Well, here's my thing. I think that Alfred Morris, he's not gonna have a good game. I think someone else is. I think it's gonna be McFadden that rises up. Personally, or Rod Smith. I just think that I don't think he's gonna have a good game, especially against that Eagles front.
I think that my must sit is Joe Mixon against Denver.
Man, we could have had Joe Mixon. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think I have Joe Mixon in one of my leagues. Must start at tight end. I'm just gonna go with Jason Witten.
Oh yeah, I would agree with you because yeah,
game against the Eagles, and yeah, Jason Witten.
He's gonna catch the game-winning touchdown. No, I'm kidding. My must start is Jared Cook for the Oakland Raiders. He's been becoming more of a target over the past couple weeks. I mean, I think he's what was he? He had like a 100-yard receiving game, I believe. But I mean, against that New England defense, I think he's going to be very vital. So I think that he's definitely must start. As for tight ends that I must sit, I would sit Evan Ingram at this point. I mean, yes, he is being targeted by
I would always start Evan Ingram.
No, shut up. Anyhow, no. The reason why is because I mean Eli Manning. Oh my Christ, he's horrible. But I mean,
I would say must sit. Don't the Texans still have Fedorowicz?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say him because he's the only other one now.
What else do we have?
For that, I just say it. And then my defense to start is the defense I picked up, the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. 2 straight weeks, Jacksonville Jaguars defense. They're playing the Browns, and the Browns don't have any wins this season. I think this game is gonna be your classic like 16-13 Jaguars win.
I think that my must start is the Detroit defense. I think that this is going to be a low scoring game. Personally, I think you're going up against a rookie quarterback. I think that Detroit's going to capitalize on that. I mean, they are at home, or no, they're in Chicago. Excuse me. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I mean, yeah. My must sit is the Baltimore defense. They're going up against Green Bay in Green Bay. I do not trust. I think what's going to happen is that I think that the Ravens their offense is going to cause their defense to kind of give out unless Joe Flacco kind of does something competent.
Yeah, which other than the season besides that Raiders game. My must-sit defense is the Buffalo Bills defense in LA against the Chargers. I think that Phillip Rivers, he might not win you games, but he'll put you up fantasy numbers. Like he'll put you up like 300-yard games with 2 touchdowns, and as that is right there, I mean they've also done well with their running backs who's their one guy at running back. Their backup running back scored 2 touchdowns, 2 short catches, and then big run touchdowns.
Yeah, that guy.
That one guy, I don't know what his name is.
That dude
against the Eagles, a rushing touchdown, but I really do believe that mightily on defense, whether they win or lose. I mean, they're starting a rookie quarterback, so they're already kind of behind the paint as it is. But that's it. And as for kicker,
Pick someone that doesn't suck. Pick someone besides Nick Folk.
Yeah, pick someone besides Nick Folk. Pick Jeff Heath.
Yeah, exactly. We all know he's the GOAT. And anywho, guys, that's been. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, for
Do you have any final things?
Dallas, don't lose. Win is the name of the game. Come on, I want Thanksgiving to be good.
Thanksgiving will be good either way.
True.
Because you guys, if you guys can't beat the Chargers, then
I'm gonna go drink some bleach.
Other problems if you can't beat the. I mean, the Eagles barely beat the Chargers.
Listen, we beat the Chiefs. You guys didn't beat the Chiefs, but
whatever. But if you there's some big issues.
Listen, I'm hoping by Thanksgiving and by the end of it we're sitting at 7-4. But guess what? I don't think that's gonna happen. But anywho, yeah, that's been our little spiel.
I don't have anything to say either, but I do hope that everyone's safe during. How about them Cowboys? Wants us to read his comments. How do you feel if Aaron Rodgers? So I think it's a mistake for them to have Rodgers in the game. I don't think he should practice. I think they should put him on ice. Even if
they need to. No, you got to put him on IR.
Yeah,
I don't.
And it's kind of like that Jameis Winston situation. Like one season isn't gonna make or break Mike McCarthy at all. I mean, but if you don't have Aaron Rodgers, then you're done, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, look, my whole thing with Aaron Rodgers is that he's a fantastic quarterback, but don't turn him into Tony Romo. I mean, Tony Romo is a perfect example of you rushing someone back, and look what happened. Pretty much his career ended because of it. Granted, he's older, but
yeah.
So.
True. But we gotta go, or I gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go. Well, yeah.
Got stuff to do.
Yeah, and we gotta get drunk and ready for football. No, I'm kidding. I can't drink. I'm underage.
You can still drink, dude.
We can't say that.
Just pretend you're Jewish.
Yeah, I'm a lazy Jew. No, I'm kidding. We can't do that.
All right, guys. Hope everyone has a good day, and
make sure to like, subscribe, do all that other crap, and yeah.
If you don't, we'll kill you.
We'll kill you.
Family. All right. Have a good day, guys.
Yep. Bye.